Did you hear what he just called Zelensky? You're not calling Zelensky that and winning the presidency. It's not happening. He went full Rumble, YouTube, Alex Jones talking on. And folks are like really eating this up, like, yeah, Vivek, he's telling the truth. Vivek 2024. And it's like, fam, you're not saying none of that and getting in. You know what I'm saying? So then you have to ask yourself, you always have to ask yourself then, when you see this type of stuff on the mainstream media, why are you showing me this? And I've said that in the past. Whenever you see certain things on the mainstream media, ask yourself, why are they showing me this? Because this isn't on accident. So Vivek, how should I put this? He gets into and brings to light on a mainstream stage a lot of like YouTube talking points. You know what I'm saying? Stuff that you would only hear on YouTube, on Rumble, on Twitter, that deep state QAnon talk, mainstream media is this, that, and the third, you know, and then, you know, here's the truth about what's really going on in the Ukraine, and, you know, stuff that you would only get like on Redacted on YouTube. You know what I'm saying? Like shows like Redacted or maybe even Jimmy Dore. He brings that to light on a mainstream level, you know? And what's interesting is that, like, people don't understand that if stuff like this, what I'm about to play for you right now, is making the mainstream stage, it's because it's being allowed to make the mainstream stage. People really don't take into consideration and understand how in control this government is of its population and how in control it is concerning what you're allowed to see and hear as it pertains to what comes on mainstream television like NBC News.
Right.
What I'm about to play for you from Vivek, that so many people are going crazy for, and he had a lot of moments like this, and I'm not even saying that he's wrong. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that this stuff doesn't make the stage unless they want it to. And the purpose of this stuff making the stage is to get you hyped up, at least on the Republican side, right? Just like how you see on the left, as far as Republicans and stuff like that are concerned. All this does for those on the right who don't know how this play works, they get you hyped up on seeing a lot of this Redacted and Rumble talk on the mainstream stage, and you want Vivek just so he can pass the buck to Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis, whoever is going to be running for president, because we still don't really know what's going on with Donald Trump as of yet, right? But that's all that is, because they will run the same play with Bernie Sanders and stuff like that. Bernie Sanders talks all this good progressive talk about how he's going to do this, that,
it's being done right now with Cornel West.
Okay, you know what I'm saying? Okay, you know, talk all this good progressive talk. And then when push come to shove and it's time to, you know, cast a vote and be real about who we're going to vote for. Oh, Biden. You know what I'm saying? They passed the buck to Biden. And the whole purpose of this was to hype you up to get the guy that they really want in office, you know, but folks don't understand that. And also, too, these talking points on mainstream media are articulated by those in the mainstream media as you talking crazy. You get what I'm saying? So even though he's saying this on NBC, right? This is a broadcast on NBC. When it comes to the mainstream media pundits, they're going to run that through the mainstream media cycle, chew it up and spit it out as crazy conspiracy theory, dangerous rhetoric, misinformation talk. So now when you try to articulate it to your family and friends, what you know to be true, they're going to look at you crazy and say, that's that QAnon conspiracy theory, MAGA Vivek talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't understand like how this stuff works and how they get played, man. They don't understand it. And then they run with it like, you know, like it's like Vivek is really just breaking through. He's not. He's not. Let me just play the video so you can hear what he was saying. But it's just crazy to me how folks just fall for it and really drool over this guy. But anyways, let's get into it.
Swamy, are you persuaded by President Zelensky's urgent new plea? Where do you stand on more funding?
I'm absolutely unpersuaded. And I'm actually enjoying watching the Ukraine hawks quietly, delicately tiptoe back from their position as this thing has unwound into a disaster. The first half of this race, I was the only person standing for it. Now they're actually quietly coming around to being more cautious, as they should. Level with the American people here. Ukraine is not a paragon of democracy. This is a country that has banned 11 opposition parties. It has consolidated all media into one state TV media arm. That's not democratic. It has threatened not to hold elections this year unless the U.S. forks over more money. That is not democratic. It has celebrated a Nazi in its ranks, the comedian in cargo pants, a man called Zelenskyy, doing it in their own ranks. That is not democratic. More facts for you.
Did you hear what he just called Zelenskyy? You're not calling Zelenskyy that and winning the presidency. It's not happening. He went full Rumble, YouTube, Alex Jones talking. And folks are like really eating this up, like, yeah, Vivek, he's telling the truth. Vivek 2024. And it's like, fam, you're not saying none of that and getting in. You know what I'm saying? So then you have to ask yourself, you always have to ask yourself then, when you see this type of stuff on the mainstream media, why are you showing me this? And I've said that in the past. Whenever you see certain things on the mainstream media, ask yourself, why are they showing me this? Because this isn't on accident.
Right. The interesting thing about Vivek,
the
interesting thing about Vivek and the interesting thing about his particular voter base is that when he says something that's slightly accurate, because he's not inaccurate all the time. You know what I'm saying? He does bring up some good points about certain things. You know what I'm saying? When he does bring up points that are valid of you know, that would make one, you know, want to do further research, or, you know, you'd be like, okay, yeah, this kind of makes sense. That's when everybody boos him. That's when he gets called scum. You know what I'm saying? That's when that particular segment of the population, not us, you know what I'm saying? That's when they go in on him. The only time he gets full support from the population at large is when he's directly being anti-black. As long as Vivek Ramaswamy is going in on black people nonstop, he got full support. Keep going, Vivek. Keep going, Vivek. Keep going, Vivek. But then you do something like say that Nikki Haley is Dick Cheney in heels. Now we got a problem. Despite the fact that Nikki Haley is, I mean, this is somebody who's running on a complete false identity. Her name is Nimrata Randhawa. And she is a warmonger. She's been one since she's been the UN Security Council person. You know what I'm saying? It's just wild.
That's like you running for president. They said next on stage is Blacklight Revelations. Like,
yeah,
what? Like that's not his name.
Blacklight Revelation. That's the name of my birth certificate. You know what I'm saying?
You won't hear from the mainstream in either party or the mainstream media. The regions of Ukraine that are occupied by Russia right now, in the Donbass, Luhansk, Donetsk, these are Russian-speaking regions that have not even been part of Ukraine since 2014, that other people probably couldn't name those provinces for you. Those are the hard facts. And so to frame this as some kind of battle between good versus evil, don't buy it. And I'd like the likes of the sharpest of the war hawks on Ukraine, Nikki Haley, to have some accountability and answer. Do you want to use U.S. taxpayer money to fund the banning of Christians? That is actually what's happening. They're using the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. They have banned them. The Ukrainian parliament just did this last week, supported by our dollars. And I think you owe it to the American people, Nikki, to at least this one time
Ramaswamy,
condemn,
thank you. That's time.
At least to
Mr.
condemn
Ramaswamy,
their banning of Christians.
Mr. Ramaswamy.
And what's funny is that how he just, because some people are like, oh, he gave it to Nikki Haley. The same way he, quote, gave it to Nikki Haley, you know what I'm saying, on stage, is the same way that folks was saying that about Kamala Harris. When I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in 2020 and during the DNC debate, she outright called Joe Biden a racist, like to his face on stage, concerning the whole busing issue and how he referred to busing black kids into white schools as, like, you know, putting them into a racial jungle. She called him a racist on stage. And next thing you know, surprise, surprise, she's his running mate. And a lot of people are saying the same play is going to be made as well, where Vivek is going to end up being Donald Trump's running mate. And I wouldn't be surprised. You're continuously watching history repeat itself over and over, just in different ways. You're seeing it on the right and you see it on the left, but it's literally the same plays being ran on everybody, depending on what side of the political spectrum you are. No one's doing anything new. Everybody's doing the same thing, and everybody, in terms of the population, keeps falling for it. That's wild, bro.
And my thing is like this part about Nikki Haley being a war hawk and like Nikki Haley like just being a neocon. Why is nobody else saying anything about that? Like I'm not a Vivek Ramaswamy fan, but the way that I get down, and
that's
y'all
what
should
he's
know
there for.
Y'all should know this about me, is that if regardless of if I like you or not, if you've said something factual, you know what I'm saying? Like, I support the facts. Nikki Haley has a history, man. She is on the AIPAC take. She's been a war hawk since she's been. Go watch the old videos about when she was in the UN Security Council. She's going against everything that's being said. Sergei Lavrov is showing all this evidence from the OPCW about how the chlorine gas was used, and evidence that, you know, it was people other than the Syrian government who did that attack back in 2017. And Nikki Haley's like, go ahead with the airstrikes. Go ahead with the airstrikes. Go ahead with the airstrikes. And Trump just went on and did it, despite what the evidence said and despite what the UN said, because she is on the military industrial complex payroll. You know what I'm saying? Like, the military industrial complex is pimping her. And she's proud of it. She's okay with it. That's what she's there for. That's what she's about to do, regardless of who gets harmed or how it affects the economy. But like, DeSantis ain't saying anything about that. You know what I'm saying? Tim Scott not saying anything about it. They got the person saying the most crazy extreme stuff, Vivek Ramaswamy, actually dropping the little hints of truth.
Because they know that he's not going to be the one that's president. The ones that have a shot, and at this point we're just talking about, like, you know, we're really getting into it. We're talking about the one in terms of who the DNC and the system at large, who they would prefer and who they'd want, right? From Trump down to DeSantis, Nikki Haley, and then you got Tim Scott at the end of that. They know that Vivek isn't the guy.
Right.
They would never put him in that position. He's there to say all of the crazy stuff that he's not lying on. He's telling the truth, but he's saying all of the crazy stuff, right? So that once he bows out, like how you'd see on the left with Bernie Sanders, he's then going to pass the rock to Nikki Haley if she ends up running for president, because Donald Trump can't. You saw the same thing with the Democrats. I just brought up the example with Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris said that, really think about how wild this is, right? You have people like Joe Biden, right? He's saying like white supremacy, and he said that white supremacy is like the greatest threat to America, right? And he says that the reason that he got into all this was because of what happened with those the Mzungus with the pitchforks, and they ran that white girl over and killed her. Where was that at? In South Carolina?
So he got into the presidency office about how WS deleted another white person, not have anything to do with how his family was slave owners.
Right. So that was apparently why he got in, right? Is because of the white supremacy that's going on in America. And it's so
only how it's affecting other white people.
But you then had Kamala Harris with factual information call him a racist white supremacist to his face on stage. Y'all ate it up on the left, just like on the right. Y'all eating it up, Ramaswamy, just so Ramaswamy, just like Kamala Harris, is either going to end up being the running mate for who they actually want in office, to which Ramaswamy will be rendered mute, just like Kamala Harris has been rendered mute. Or if he's not going to be the running mate, he's going to tell all of his followers, get behind Nikki Haley, get behind DeSantis, or get behind Trump.
Facts, bro. They eating up them ramen noodles. They eating up them ramen noodles. They eating up them ramen noodles good. I'm talking about the bucket of the ones with the lime in them. You know what I'm saying? And the hot sriracha sauce. That is how they're eating up these Vivek ramen noodles. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The good ones.
Eat them up real good. It's
Real
crazy
good.
how
With chopsticks.
And, yeah, and it's like, it's just interesting, man, how you can watch the same play get ran over and over on both sides. Because we always talk about how it gets ran on the left, you know, because we speak primarily to obviously to a black audience, and they all tend to be on the left, right? But like they run the same plays on the right. They run the same exact plays on the right. But I don't know, man. These folks don't see it. They don't see it.